Looking forward to talking to our guest, George, Dr. Sherry Blake. She's the author of the book Single Married Woman. Oh, we got to talk about that one, Doc. Also, you all may recognize her from, she was a counselor on the Braxton Family Values. So what do you mean, single married woman?
The single married woman, every woman that's married with children and family, they can relate to it. This is a woman that's doing it all, wanting to be married, but finding herself pretty lonely in the marriage, so taking on most of the weight.
George, your wife, is George's wife single married woman?
She don't take on all the weight, though.
Right.
We split it.
Well, I don't know. Many times, most women think that split is not even, you know.
Wow.
So they have husbands, and the husbands will help when asked, but why do you have to wait to ask?
You know what?
No.
Remember when we did the video, George, and the guy said a woman shouldn't have to wait to ask you to take out the garbage. You know
Absolutely.
it needs to be taken out.
Thank you.
And he was right.
And he was right.
you.
Nor does my woman have to.
You ought to get your picture.
Oh, no, that ain't no pitch. That's just reality.
Well, those women that do have to ask, they are indeed single married women.
We're talking to Dr. Sherry Blake. I want to talk to you about finding the one. And one thing that I think is difficult for a lot of us, we expect that one person to be everything. Is that realistic?
No, of course it's not realistic. And so often we have such a long list. You know, we want this person to do that. But ask yourself, can you meet those same demands? Can you meet that list?
For some reason, people don't understand it. Even though they can't meet those qualifications, they still want it in the other person. The whole idea of the one, where did that come from? The one. Dun, dun, dun.
You know, we tell ourselves...
You like that, George?
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Like the Matrix, you know,
Right.
he's the one.
The one. Well, the one is usually the nightmare after it's all over, because what happens is the one is an image. It's a story. Women have told themselves, we want a man that looks good, smells good, can do this, can do that. But when it gets down to it, that's not really what she needs. So there's a difference between what she wants and what she may really need.
We're talking to Dr. Sherry Blake. I want to ask you about this concept about being the one in this sense. Women believe, and I guess it's more of a romantic thing for women. I don't want to generalize, but the idea that this one person was born on this planet for you, and that is the one. Dun, dun, dun. Sorry, George, I couldn't help it.
You can't resist, huh?
Well, you know, this planet is pretty large, so she's going to be searching for a long time for the one. There may be aspects of the person she's with that meets the one, but it's very hard to find a full package, you know.
And who's to say, and I got to say this to everybody listening who are about to get married, I don't want to rain on your parade, but maybe that person, and George, you said this doing 1 Million Mentors, maybe it's just that person for this season of your life.
Sometimes that's the case.
And, you know, the person you meet, let's hope the marriage lasts. You know, let's hope the relationship lasts.
Right, but is it a failure if it doesn't last forever?
It's not a failure. It's an event that happened in your life.
Forever, ever? Come on, it's got to be.
It's a failure if it doesn't last forever, if that's what both people are seeking out for it to be.
But define
go ahead.
failure.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't work.
Failure. It did not. Just because something didn't work, it was an experience. It was
George,
a
hold on,
learning
everybody.
experience.
Hey,
Hold on,
no,
wait a minute.
yeah,
Wait a minute,
I
she
told
did,
Learning
right?
experience.
We're talking to Dr. Sherry Blake, and I'm not saying that your goal shouldn't be to be together forever, but it shouldn't be considered a failure if it didn't last forever. You raised good children. If you all grew together while you were together, why is it a failure in your life if it didn't last forever, if you were enriched by it, if you grew from it?
That's right. It was an experience. And most single married women, and the book is The Single Married Woman, they realize that, you know, I've done what I can do. Sometimes, you know, you have to walk away. Sometimes
George, see, George, see, Doc, hey, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Sherry Blake, George is giving him a hard time. George is not a failure if it does not last.
Okay.
Right. And George, don't take it personally.
Oh, I'm not taking it personally. It sounds like two people who failed in their relationship.
Maybe there is some personal responsibility.
Mother's Day is coming up, Dr. Sherry.
Yes.
And a lot of women, I find, have issues with their mom and vice versa.
Absolutely. You know, that's a complex relationship. But a lot of times when we think about Mother's Day, we only think about mothers and daughters. But we shouldn't fail to mention mothers and their sons.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, a lot
Good
of
point.
times, you know, these relationships are complex. They're tough. And the
What
mother...
about, mothers and their children then? I mean,
Yeah.
I said this at an event I was at in Charlotte, the Women's Expo, and some of the mothers were like, our daughters have got to get past some of this stuff. We were not perfect. You know,
Right.
we made some, and all they can teach you is what they learned from their mothers.
Absolutely. We will raise our daughters and love our sons. And what that means is we try to teach and we try to impart everything we know that we have learned to our daughters. But with the sons, they get off a little easy. We just love them, and we make excuses for them, and we let them slide by.
And the daughter sees that.
And the daughter sees that. And that's part of the anger. And initially, the daughter is trying to model her mom. And then she starts seeing the good, the bad, and the ugly, and she starts developing her own identity. And that becomes a conflict because those images are, quite different.
I tell you something else women have told me about, too, is that their mother having, expecting them to do what they want them to do and live their life the way they want them to live their life instead of letting them make their own mistakes.
Absolutely. So often mothers want to be their friends and not their parent. And when you become a friend, you can't you can't say the same thing in the same way. And what happens is they become very angry. Daughters are very angry because their mother takes over their life, just like a buddy or friend. And mothers, there are boundaries, and we have to get those boundaries in place and understand you can love your daughter, you can be friends with her, but you're not her best friend.
Yeah, another problem with a lot of the boundaries, and I got to say this to the daughter, stop telling your mama your business, and she won't be so judgmental about what's going on in your life in the first place.
Oh.
Doctor, that's right, I said it. Talking to Dr. Sherry Blake, the author of the book, The Single Married Woman. She's, of course, you all recognize her from the Braxton Sisters show, Braxton Family Values, and when we talk about the dynamics, I just want to focus on mother and daughters for a minute. Okay. Some of the times that women, I got to go there, they've seen a lot of things, abuse, they've been abused by men that the mothers have brought into the household, and they have resentment toward their mother because maybe mama didn't protect them.
Absolutely. We see that a lot, and mothers are not perfect. I think most women do the best they can with what they have. And that's good sometimes, and sometimes it just falls short.
But what about when she saw mama put the man first?
Yeah, that's a problem. And mom should be held
Thank you,
accountable.
George.
I mean, she should be held accountable. And I think so often women see things, daughters see things, and they can't verbalize it because, mom says, you're a child, but they grow up. They see the stuff. And all of a sudden, mom wants them to respect them and hold them in a line. But there are good mothers out there. There are mothers that do not put their men first. But on the other hand, they still have conflict, and the conflict just take a different,
How about I'm sorry? Why can't mama and daughters too, when it's on them, before Mother's Day even get here, which is why we wanted to start having this conversation now, why can't the daughter call her mother, the mother call her daughter and say, I'm sorry?
Mm-hmm. That's hard. People don't know how
Really?
to say, I'm sorry. People don't know how to say that genuinely. A lot of times people say it, and it means nothing because, it's like brushing them off. Okay,
and some
I'm
people
sorry.
can't say it at all.
I have talked to women who mothers have never told them, I love you.
Right.
How is that possible
Right.
for a mother to have never told her child, I love you?
They may have never been told. And if you haven't heard it yourself, it's very hard to express it, even harder to verbalize it.